Good morning, coffee drinkers. Welcome and welcome very much to Dominic Colenso, our guest and guru today, whilst you're enjoying your coffee. Dominic, for anybody who doesn't know you, just tiptoe us through your background in about 2 minutes.
Okay, where to start? So born in Harlow in Essex, moved to Oxfordshire, then moved to Germany, and that's where I suppose what I do now started to kick in. So while I was in Germany, got very much into amateur dramatics in the theatre class at school and all of that sort of stuff, and then came back to the UK at the age of 18 to go to drama school. So trained to become an actor for 3 years. Went out into a career in acting, had a great time, got some fantastic roles, played Virgil Tracy in the Thunderbirds movie in 2004 with Ben Kingsley and Bill Paxton, did BBC period dramas, lots of stage work, and then started getting interested in what went on the other side. So retrained as a director and started teaching at some of the big drama schools in central London. While I was doing that, I got asked whether I would work with some businesses and share some of the sort of storytelling aspects of what I did. And to be honest, I wasn't quite sure whether that skill set was going to transfer from the artistic world, if you like, into the more corporate space. But I'm the sort of person that will say yes to anything and give it a go. And it was amazing. People really loved the concepts, the ideas, and we were seeing really quick results with people. So that started to spark my curiosity. And I did some retraining as a coach and started to really try and formalize my thinking around the methodology and the toolkit that I had as an actor and how that applied to people in the real world. And 10 years later, here we are, author of a book called Impact on that subject, and working with businesses all around the world to help them communicate effectively, especially right now down the lens of the camera. So it's come full circle.
Great. I mean, it sounds as though the transition was a very natural one, and I think you're in good space because, ultimately people buy people, and that's the way I think that business works and thrives.
Absolutely.
Not all of us have managed to be Thunderbirds. Tell us sort of what that was like, and if you like, what that's given you in terms of an enhanced skill set.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I got to be on this multi-million-pound film set with some of the best actors in the world, Ben Kingsley, Bill Paxton. It was being directed by Jonathan Frakes, who was Riker in Star Trek. And as a 21-year-old, it was just this kind of mind-blowing experience, getting chased by paparazzi and going to red carpet premieres and all of that sort of thing. What was fascinating for me, though, was seeing the craft that went on behind the scenes. So, we watch a movie and you see the end result, but what goes on in the background to create that, the amount of people, the amount of collaboration, the amount of teamwork, and the amount of rehearsal, it's really phenomenal. To get that final product, a lot has to happen behind the scenes. And obviously I got to observe some amazing actors in front of the camera, and that's given me a huge amount now to draw on when I'm working with businesses and helping leaders and sales teams really convey their message down the lens.
And taking from that, do you believe that sort of teamwork and collaboration and communication are the essence and the heart of good business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of the organizations that I'm working with are trying to get the best out of their people. I mean, in any business, your biggest asset are the people that work for you. And if you can give them a voice, if you can give them the resilience to turn up and give their best, then obviously you're going to have a massive impact on the bottom line. So I think that skill set that I learned as an actor and as a director transfers really succinctly into the world of business, and there's a lot of opportunities for businesses to learn from the arts in terms of how to bring a product to market really quickly with a great team all around it.
And I was talking to somebody yesterday on Zoom about the need in these change times for change culture and responsive rather than prescriptive management. Presumably in your acting career, you've seen a lot of having to work in that extremely collaborative way to get the best from people.
Yeah, I mean, I always saw my role as a theatre director, as a facilitator. So yeah, my name was going to be on the program, and ultimately I was responsible for the outcome. But my job was to draw the best performance out of each of the actors. It was to challenge the set designer and the costume designer to come up with ideas that facilitated those performances. So it's absolutely about that kind of collaboration piece, being able to bring people together and being able to bring the best out of everyone that you work with.
So you talk about bringing out the best. Sometimes things happen in life, and you're somebody who's been fired by Simon Cowell. Tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely. That was probably one of the hardest moments of my acting career. I was the lead in an ITV drama, and we've been out in Dublin filming for about 5 or 6 weeks at that point. So we got a couple of episodes in the can. All of the feedback from the producers and the directors was really positive. And one afternoon, I got told by the second assistant director that I wasn't needed the following day. And she said, we're going to shoot some other scenes. You've got some time off. And I've been pretty much in every scene, 6-day weeks, long, grueling shoot. So I was like, fantastic. Okay, in Dublin, going to go and have a little bit of an explore. It was being made by the people that made Footballers' Wives, so I was having to get my kit off quite a lot. So I was going to the gym a lot. So I thought, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to go into Dublin, I'll go shopping, and I'll buy some new gym kit. So walking around the shops, and all of a sudden my mobile phone rings, and it's the producer. And she says, we need you to come back to the apartments for a cast meeting. And I was like, well, it's my day off. Do we have to do this now? She's like, no, we really need you to come back. So I said, okay, give me an hour. Let me finish up what I'm doing, and I'll see you there. So I walked back into the apartment block, and all of the apartments looked over a central courtyard. So they basically hired out this whole apartment block for the cast and the crew. And I looked around, and no one else's lights were on. And I was like, that's a bit strange. But, very focused on the task at hand. It was a fictional version of the X Factor, and I was one of the contestants. So I was having to learn songs, and a bit of a piano player. So I was playing along back in my apartment, doing some rehearsals, doing a bit of singing. About an hour later, still no one there. So I pick up the phone and try and call the producer back, and nothing. And then all of a sudden, my English mobile rang. So I had an Irish mobile, an English mobile. I picked up the English mobile, and it was my agent. And instantly in that moment, I knew that it wasn't going to be good news. So I spoke to her, and essentially what had happened is that Simon, who'd been kind of an executive producer and advisor on the show, had come back from America, where he'd been filming, I think it was American Idol, and he looked at the rushes and the early edits of the show, and he decided that they'd miscast me. His perspective was that I was far too boy band, and they needed someone that was much more grungy for the role. So unbeknownst to me, for about a week, back and forth between ITV and Simon and the producers in Dublin, this whole kind of conversation had been going on. And anyway, they decided it was like Simon or me, and Simon was saying, I'm going to take my name off it unless you recast this character. So they let me go. They paid me out of my contract. And I remember, I'll be very honest with you, got off that phone call and floods of tears, shut my curtains, and just thought, right, what's going on? I arranged with the agent to get me a flight out of Dublin the next morning. And I literally just packed up my bags and flew home. And it took about a week and a half, 2 weeks to lick my wounds. When I turned my phone on when I landed in the UK, had lots of lovely messages from the cast and crew saying, we can't believe this is happening. You did a great job. This seems so crazy. Anyway, Simon eventually ended up pulling his name off the show. So a couple of weeks later, I did actually fly back over to Dublin and say some proper goodbyes to everyone. But it took a lot of resilience from my part to get back on the saddle and get back into auditions and all of that sort of stuff after that. But a good lesson in life. Sometimes you can't be in control of everything. In many respects, I was giving the best performance on camera that I'd ever given. And yet there were other things out there that meant that show with me in it never saw the light of day.
I think it's an important message for anybody who's viewing this, because not everything goes well, not everything goes right. And it's what you take from it and what you learn from it and move on. I guess it's important. And I suppose in our culture in the UK more than everywhere else, failure is sometimes seen as a problem. In other places or with entrepreneurs, it's part of life.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be responsible for the bits that you can control. And I can honestly say, with my head held high, that I was doing a brilliant job. And if that didn't meet the expectations of the team, or, you know, I didn't look right, there's not a lot I can do about that. So, you know, you have to take it on the chin. Now, I'll be, as I said, I'll be honest about it. I didn't just go, oh, no problem, that's fine. I had to lay low for a little while. But that experience has given me a lot to draw on, and you know, comes up in conversations with leadership teams and sales teams about how to handle rejection, you know, how to have that resilience and be able to overcome the challenges that you're facing.
That's great. So, Dominic, thank you for that. I had a couple of other questions, but we're probably through our time and our coffee's going cold. But would you just leave us with one final thought for anybody that's viewing? You know, what's your best advice that you either been given or that you can give anybody in life to move on?
I think the thing for me, and again, something I learned as an actor, is that you have to be present. So this applies in virtual communication a lot right now. There are so many distractions for people. You know, you're on a Teams call, you're on a Zoom call, you've got your email open, your mobile phone's going off. The best thing that we can do in terms of our performance, and by performance, I don't just mean the way that you communicate, I mean how you get the results that you're looking for, is to be in the moment. So try not to think about what's happening in the future, try not to think about what's happening in the past, but stay in the moment. And that's where the magic happens. So if you can take one thing from this little coffee, take a deep breath and be here now.
And look forward to some magic.
Absolutely.
It's been great speaking to you. I'd love to catch up with you another time. If anybody wants to hear more from Dominic, please contact Claire in our Inspirational Speakers office. She'd be really pleased to try and help you. Dominic, thank you for this morning and for the insight and the stories behind the stories.